Hi. Well, this is the fourth lecture I'm giving in favor for the white lions. And well, this is a talk I also love. Why plants? Because I already gave two about animals, then I gave Hercules that is also related to animals. And I said, well, why plants? Because if we are astrologers, we can leave out nature. And astrology is going to be related to nature in it's part of their philosophy of astrology. So we are going to have the zodiac, we are going to have the seasons, we are going to have all these agriculture goddesses that are going to be very important. Why the earth? The earth is going to relate us to our body. It is something that's going to be relating us to our rights too. Every right, every magic that we see in nature, it's not only going to be related to animals, because usually animals and humans, we grow a little more slowly than plants. And then the season of the agriculture of the plants, we are going to see them, how they are born and how they are transforming and how they are even dying in a way. And it's going to relate us immediately to our body too, and to our own life cycle that's between birth, transcendence, and death too. Everything that has to do with nature is also going to be very much related to the feminine energy. Here we have the feminine energy. In the zodiac, we are going to have like the animals that are having both feminine and masculine energy, but the earth, it's more related to the goddesses that are related to nature and the woman. And also here, every ritual that is related to vegetation, agriculture, it's going to be related to our sexuality too, because sexuality has to be with life. So all the gods that are going to be related to these myths are going to be related to their own sexuality, to their own ability to give birth to something new. So that is why nature is so important. So we are going to have like paradise, but in paradise, things do not die. So here we have like Calypso. Calypso was one of these goddesses. She was the daughter of Atlantis and Pleione, and she was a nymph. She was this beautiful magic, like a little bit like a witch too. She had these kinds of powers. And Ulysses, in his trip back to Penelope, he has to stop with Calypso. And Calypso says, well, she fell in love with him. And she said, well, I'm giving you everything you want, whatever you want, food. Yeah, they had children even, like life, like paradise all the time. And somehow this hero, with time, he got like a little sad. He didn't know why he got sad, but he really wanted to go back to his wife and to his son. And what happens here is that as humans, we need this part. We need this part of transcendence. We need this part where we see that life passes and life goes on. So he prefers to live a human life than be in paradise in this wonderful world that doesn't have this need to transcend. So humanity in general, we need this part where we have to think about how we are going to grow and to transcend and what's going to happen, even also with our evolution too. So he leaves, and Hera says, well, okay, leave. So then we have the seasons. They are also going to be related to the hours too. And first we had like 4 seasons, and later they managed the order and the justice of the universe. So they were, in that sense, it was very important, the hours. So they were the goddesses of nature and order, and they the seasons too, and they were regarded as the givers of life in a way too. So in Homer, who neither mentions their parents nor their number. So first we have 4, and then we're going to have more, depending on the time we are living in. So after the 4, they included more, because we also had like these goddesses that were like able to reign over justice. That was also. So so they are the Olympian divinities of the weather and the ministers of Zeus, and also of Hera. And in this capacity, they guard doors of Olympus and promote the fertility of the earth. By the various kinds of weather they send down, they are kind and benevolent, bringing to gods and men many things that are good and desirable. As, however, Zeus has the power of gathering and dispensing their clouds, they are in reality only his ministers, and sometimes also those of Hera. Men in different circumstances regarded the course of time or the seasons either as rapid or as slow, and both epithets are accordingly applied to the Horai. The course of the seasons or hours is symbolically described by the dance of the Horai and in conjunction with the Charities, Hebe, Harmonia, and Aphrodite. So in traditional astrology, the hour of birth is also going to be very important. If we see in traditional astrology, depending on Monday or Tuesday, so when the sun comes up, at that time, the day starts also. So we have like on Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning, we start with the moon, and then it goes on with the Chaldean order. Here, the Chaldean order is also going to be very important. So first, the first one were the spring, the flora, the summer, the growth, the autumn, the fruit. So here we are going to have Talo, Auxo, and Carpo. So here are these 3 goddesses. Later on, they included eunomia, guided, laws and religion, order. Dike looked after morality, justice, and Eirene oversaw peace and prosperity. So cults dedicated to the worship of these 3 goddesses were found in many places, with Athens, Olympia, and Argos boasting the largest shrines. So after that, we had a 3rd group. So here we are going to have 9. Perusa, she gave substance, Eupori, abundance, and Orthosi, she gave prosperity. Here, so this is the painting of the Horai, where we are going to see 6. So depending on the paintings, you are going to see in Renaissance, well, this is not Renaissance, that's later, but that's Edward Burne-Jones. He was very much into symbology, and he also had a whole series about Perseus. That's a wonderful series he did, but he only represented in his painting only 6 of them. He didn't represent the whole 9. So the 6th one he represented were these 6, not these 1, okay? But I thought it would be nice for me to include this painting. If you see the Horai, many times the Horai are going to be also depicted with Dionysius. Dionysius because of his instinctive part, and he is one of the gods that's more related to nature and also to humanity. He is the one god that he didn't have temples. The temples were wherever he went to, he started to make these rituals. The rituals where he ate animals with his bare hands. He didn't cook them. So that was the way he was much more in touch with his instinctive part. So here's the Dionysian by Nonnus, a group of 4 Horai. Here we do not have the 4 because this relief is not whole. But here we have tells us that these goddesses are the daughters of the sun Helios and Selene. So things change. In some versions, we are going to have that the Horai they do not have a number and they do not have gods. And on the others, that they are the children of Zeus. And here they are the children of Helios and Selene, the moon, of the sun and the moon, the goddess of the moon. In addition to serving as a personification of seasons, these 4 goddesses also guide Helios' chariot on its trip across the sky. So here we can see like Helios and Selene and the Eos too, and Hesperos and Vesperos too, with the Horai. Usually there is a beautiful painting. I do not have it here, but here's Helios, and here he is with the Horai. Usually you are going to see him also with Eros, and you are going to see him also with Selene and Vesperos, and the both the Venus of the morning and the Venus of the evening, like guiding his chariot. So these are personified by the 12 hours, originally 10. So you're going to see 3, 6, 9, 10, and 12. Usually in mythology, you are going to see like the number 9 repeating over and over and over and over. So here we are going to have the 4 seasons here, what they really meant. They are infancy, he is the air, spring, and in paintings, you are going to see a art crowned with flowers, holding either a kid of sheep and having near to her a budding shrub. So whatever, you can take a screenshot whenever you listen to it again, because it's difficult. So each of them is going to speak about infancy, of youth, of maturity, and of old age. So all this transcendence personified by the Horai too. Here, if we go into the description of the hours, when here it's going to be the Chaldean order. So here we have the moon that's going to be closest to the earth, and Saturn, who is going to be the furthest of the earth too. So it's the first hour, depending on the day, if it's Sunday or it's Monday or it's Tuesday or whatever. On Sunday, we're going to start with the sun. On Friday, we are going to start with Venus. On Wednesday, we're going to start with Mercury. On Monday, with the moon. On Saturday, with Saturn. And Thursday, with Jupiter. And Tuesday, with Mars. So depending on the hour. So depending on which day you were born, even the hour is very important. Even in electional astrology or horary astrology, it's going to be very important that you see the hour and the day. If you want to see, you are making a question and you want to see if that question is okay, then you go to the day and the hour, and then you are going to see, well, depending on the planets that are related to the day and the hour, if they have something in relation with the question you asked, then it's going to be a good chart. If not, it is not. But here I'm explaining only how it started and how they were represented. The first as a young girl, then later each of them. I'm not going to go very deep into this, but you can search it even in paintings, and so usually they are going to do that. If we go back to these Edward Burns, here he is going to be depicting each of them. Here it's 6, not 7. That's also something that he didn't do. But you're going to see usually how they depict them and how they paint them, and that's also something interesting to see and to watch. So we are going to have then the day, and then we are going to have the hours of the night too, that are going to be also important. So it's going to, in the evening, as soon as the sun is setting, it's going to start again. So here, the count is going to start again. Here are these, so you can make a screenshot or whatever. So, which is the Chaldean order? Here we have the Chaldean order. We have the moon, Saturn, moon being the closest to Earth, Saturn the furthest, and then we have Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter. When we see this order, we are going to see also this order in the tarot too. And here we have the hours from in Farnese. These paintings, the Farnese paintings, are right now in the French embassy in Italy, and it's sad, but nobody can get into. But they have a very, very strong astrological meaning too. So here we have the Helio and his chariot, and we're also going to see all these goddesses that are going to be surrounding the sun god that is also there. Here we have the birth of the spring. So the Horai are also going to be depicted in Botticelli's painting of Venus, and we're going to also see them in the spring painting of Botticelli. Botticelli was a painter who was very, very much in touch with the symbolism. So I really would recommend you that you see, right now there is the series about the Medici in HBO. Look at it because it's very interesting about Lorenzo de Medici, who was the one who really was the one who created the Renaissance influence in painting and symbolism. He had a very, very close relation to Botticelli, to Leonardo da Vinci, and to Michelangelo, and you can see that in that Netflix series. His grandfather Cosimo de' Medici, he was also very much helping painters and the symbolism, but he paid them. And Lorenzo de' Medici, he was the one who created the school. So that was his great, great gift to the world and to the universe. Everything he did for art and for symbolism and things. He was also very close to Marsilio Ficino. Marsilio Ficino was the one, whenever they gave like a present of a painting, they made the chart, and this chart, more with Botticelli's paintings, these charts were like interpreted by these painters. And I just made, if you are interested, there's also just an article of mine published in the Cosmic Intelligence magazine. If you are interested, I can send it to you so you can read it, about the influence of Cosimo Ficino and with this Bronzino painting that he sent to France. Well, it's only. So here we have the Horae. Thus they adorned Aphrodite as she rose from the sea, made a garland of flowers for Pandora, and even inanimated things are described as deriving peculiar charms from the Horae. So here she is with this cloth, the cloth that also has a lot to say. These ademonas, these little flowers also that are going to be related to the myth of Adonis and Aphrodite. The roses are also related to Venus. So this is like so nice and so interesting. So animism, according to Tyler, here we have to see what it means. Animism would then be the general philosophy of man and nature, a kind of theory that explains all that is inexplicable. What did it mean? That animals, plants, and everything had a soul. If we as humans have a soul, why don't have the plants or the animals have a soul? If I'm animated by a soul, and that soul is what allows me to breathe, move, act, etc., why not plants, trees, animals, stars, and planets would be moved by souls? So that's the theory also that is related even to magic. So there is this part that is different from Müller. So Müller was a poet, and Tyler was more the scientist. So Müller said that every culture was, and mythology of each of the different cultures were related to the sun and also to this feeling of the soul. Tyler not, he was much more into scientific part, so he wasn't so he didn't believe that much. So the stages to Fraser, here we have, to his theory, man imagined means to produce what they wanted to happen and prevent what they would not want to happen. So nature was this part of when we make a ritual, when we make like an aromatic oil, whatever, that it also has this magic of like saying, I want to heal that person, or I want to make these changes. So the gardens of Adonis, that we are going to get very much into it, would correspond to the magical stage in which men would try to force the growth of crops through imitative magic. That is, by making the vegetation grow quickly so that it in turn grows quickly. At this stage, there are no gods, only vegetation. But this vegetation is going to be related to or projected to the energy of the god. With the passage of time, the most conscious part of humanity realized that magic did not work. From this, Fraser says, they imagined the growth and decay of vegetation as an effect of the action of the divine beings who, through a series of vicissitudes, were born, died, fell in love, got angry, had children, and thought that all this would somehow be reflected in the natural landscape. At this stage, Adonis would embody the god of vegetation who would be implored to return by bringing the food. So in the Mesopotamian, in the Mesoamerican culture or cosmogony, that is very, very close. So there was this god Tlaloc, and well, when we didn't have rain, well, they sacrificed a child. Because Tlaloc was considered a very playful god, and he loved children, and so they gave him children so he would be happy. So he would give water again to make the vegetation, agriculture grow. So here we're going to have a myth that's going to be very much related to this. This is going to be with Apollo and Daphne. So Apollo is going to laugh about Cupid or Eros and saying to him, well, what can you do with your arrow and your you can't really do very much. I'm much better than you, because I when I was just born, I killed the dragon, and I didn't need my golden arrow to make people fall in love or to not love. So Eros gets a little offended, and what he does, he's going to send this arrow, the golden arrow, to Apollo, and Apollo is going to be hit by love, and the other arrow, the one with the iron arrow, to Daphne, so she is not going to fall in love with him. So there were always like these two arrows, one that makes you laugh, and the other one that makes you not wanting to love. So he's chasing her, and she is going to ask the gods to please help her, or to Diana. She was a nymph of Diana, and she's going to say, please help me. And Diana is going to transform her to this laurel. So this is one of these myths where we can see that gods are going to be transformed into the vegetation. And this, what Apollo does with this tree, is that he is going to let it be green all the time because of his love to Daphne. We have another one. It's the Apollo and Hyacinthus. Hyacinth. He was a very beautiful Spartan boy. Many of the gods were in love with him. So even Tamiris and everybody wanted to have a relation with him. So Apollo fell in love with him, but Apollo and Diane had a very close relationship. So Diana didn't like him to fall in love. So there was this Olympic game where they were like throwing these what is this? How it's called? These plates to throw the discus. They were very strong. But as Boreas was also in love with him, what he did is that made Apollo throw this disc and hit Hyacinthus. He was so sad about it, and his tears made these flowers grow over his tomb. So over his grave. So he was, this Hyacinthus is a very beautiful flower that's going to flower, but it's going to die very soon, in relation to Hyacinthus, that he was so extremely beautiful. So magic and religion. So all the rituals related to religion are going to converge in this cult of vegetation and agriculture, and we're going to see these with Osiris, Tammuz, Adonis, among other gods. But there are going to be two myths that are going to be very important between Adonis and Aphrodite, and also Demeter. So what is going to happen with these both goddesses, and how are they going to relate to love in a very different way? So Aphrodite is going to be more related to this love, this romance, this love that is going to fade very soon. And Demeter is going to be related more to the marriage, to these relationships that are going to be lasting, not going to die as soon. So the gods here, if we see Osiris, Tammuz, Dumuzi, and Adonis, these are all gods that are going to resurrect. They are going to die and they are going to resurrect. So equating also and reflecting with the life of the plants. So the annual death and the rebirth of vegetation in these agrarian cults, sexuality plays a very important role. And the orgiastic rituals that are carried out seek that by imitative magic, the gods do the same, copulate everywhere, and thus ensure the harvest and fertility of the earth. So here, the relation that the gods are going to have. So the Floralia was a popular Roman festival held in honor of Flora, goddess of spring. Later, we are going to be speaking again about her, vegetation and fertility in general. This festivity was celebrated between April 28th and May 3rd and symbolized the renewal of the cycle of life. So it was transformed into a joyful and relaxed party marked by dances, drinks, and flowers. She is considered one of the protective divinities and prostitutes, since her cult was very popular among Roman prostitutes. So we are going to have different festivals, the Floralia, then we are going to have also the rituals related to Adonis, and we are going to have the rituals related to Ceres too, and to Demeter too. So here we have again the 4 seasons, and here the 4 seasons, again, we are going to have all the cardinal signs over here, and each of them related to one of the goddesses. Here it's Aphrodite, Ceres. Here we have Dionysius, and then here we have like this old goddess that like with the age. So it's youth, it's marriage. Dionysius, that's the god of the distinctive part, and then we have like the old age too. Adonis is this example of that he is going to be represented by vegetation, and he is going to be, it's going to be very, very important. We have like a book from Dumas, it's The Gardens of Adonis, where this philosopher is going to be analyzing all the vegetation rituals and myths and what is really happening here. So most of this information I'm giving to you right now is about him, okay? So here we have Mira, also known as Smira, was a daughter of King Cinyras. What says Mira? She is going to say that she is not going to fall in love because she doesn't need to fall in love. And she has like this servant, this maid that is with her. And Aphrodite, she gets very angry because she is the goddess of love and she is angry. And she says, oh, you're not going to fall in love. Well, you are going to see how you are going to fall in love. So she makes her madly in love with her own father. And she wants to commit suicide. Committing suicide in mythology is not a very good scene. It's a very bad scene. So she wants to commit suicide, and the maid is saying, no, 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 please don't do it. Wait, your mother is going to the festival, to the 9 days festival of the Ceres festival. So don't worry, you are going to be alone. And what we are going to do is we are going to in the evening, we are going to give your father alcohol, so he's going to be drunken. And in the evening, you can get into his room. And since there was no light at that time, so you can get, for 9 nights, you can get into his room. So that really happens. But on the 9th day or night, the father wakes up and sees his daughter next to him. He gets very, very angry and starts to persecute her. She is running and running and running, and she is asking the gods for forgiveness and that please the gods help her to save her. So she managed to go even to Arabia, and in Arabia, what the gods help her to transform her in a mirror. So, but the mirror starts to grow, and suddenly there is this javali. How do you say javali in English? It's a pork with
Wild boar.
The boar with the boar, and this boar comes and is going to hit the tree, and from that tree Adonis is going to be born. The boar is is an animal related to the moon because of the horn he has, and very much related also to all the goddesses like Semele, Aphrodite, Artemisia, to all these goddesses. Finally, the child is born. The child is beautiful, 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 but Aphrodite can't stay with the boy because Zeus tells her not to do. So she is going to give this child to Persephone. So but Persephone is going to stay with the child for 6 months, and Aphrodite is going to stay with the child for other 6 months. Both of these women fall deeply in love with this child, this wonderful and beautiful child. But then they are going to be speaking again to Adonis, and are going to speak who can stay with this beautiful boy. And Zeus says, well, do you know, Adonis has to choose with whom he wants to stay more. So for 9 months, he chooses to stay with Aphrodite, and for the rest of the months, of the 3 months, he's going to be staying with Persephone. But there is this myth where men have to help their children, their boys, how to go and hunt. And that is part of a ritual where boys are going to get to be men, not to be boys anymore. But Adonis hears he doesn't have really a father. He's fatherless. So this is also very important from the psychological part. Well, Adonis says, I want to go and I want to hunt the boar. Here is Venus and says, please, please don't do that. You do not know how it's a very dangerous animal. Well, he goes there and he's killed by the boar. Aphrodite is so immensely sad that her tears, or the blood of Adonis, makes these anemonas, these little blue flowers that you saw in the spring in Botticelli's painting. That is the symbolism of the tears of Adonis. But what is really sad is one version, and even Leonardo da Vinci made these two Madonnas relating to this story, because Leonardo da Vinci also didn't have a father, really. So he had these two mothers, and those two mothers were the ones who were guiding him, but in a psychological sense. So what happens here with Adonis? He doesn't have a father that introduces him into the world of man. And some say that it was really Eros who killed him on revenge because Aphrodite loved so much Adonis. And the other was that Apollo, the god son, was also involved. Some myths told that it was Apollo who killed Adonis since since he wanted to take revenge from Aphrodite, who blinded Erymanthus, Apollo's son. So here are different versions. You always have to see that there are different versions in mythology, and that's sometimes the very interesting part in mythology when you see all these different myths. So Adonis and the vegetation cycle. Adonis is yet another example of these gods or goddesses who represent vegetation, especially for spending time in the underworld, in this case with Persephone and time with Aphrodite on earth. The myth of Adonis is an example of how one goes through the stages described above. So we have the gardens of Adonis for the Greek imaginary, sunny lands where perfumes came from. So there is a close link between aromas and the sun. Myrrh and frankincense are dry and correspond to the height. So when we go to church and we smell like the myrrh and frankincense, it's to attract the gods. Cereals are in the middle where there is already corruption, but not so much they are the food of man. But lower down where pastures are, raw grass is the food of the beasts. So depending on where the plants are, they are related to the sun, they are related to the humans, or they are going to be related to the beasts. But the aromas had not only a religious purpose, but also an erotic one. Just as frankincense and myrrh served to bring the gods closer to the earth, perfumes served to attract lovers to each other. So the myth of myrrh and Adonis is a myth of seduction. It is a double seduction because the first part of the story is the seduction of Myrrh and her father. So she is really in love with her father, is the daughter being in love with her father. And the second is the seduction of Adonis and the goddesses. Well, what does this mean? It means that if you have you idealize your father figure as a woman, so probably when you have a son, you are also going to make this Oedipus relationship with your son. If a man idealizes the mother, probably the son is also going to idealize the mother, because the father is not going to be able to separate the son from the mother. Or if the daughter is idealizing the father, well, probably also it's going to be reversed. So that's why they say, if you work with yourself, the third generation is going to be the one who is going to be favored by it. So the myrrh resin has been a highly sought after product in all ancient civilization, not only an aromatic level, but also as a powerful natural medicine to embalm corpses like the Egyptian priests and with mummies, and to preserve and purify them for their eternal journey. As an anesthetic in Rome, mixed with wine, it was offered to those condemned to death or as a narcotic. It was offered to Jesus just before the crucifixion, who rejected it. As a coagulant, Greek soldiers carried it with them to stop the bleeding from combat wounds. It was an excellent remedy against parasites and hoarseness. as a purifier of blood in Chinese medicine, as a remedy against arthritis in the Ayurvedic medicine of India, to maintain healthy teeth and gums according to the custom of chewing it in Ethiopia. Myrrh has anti-inflammatory and antiseptic powers, disinfects deeply on wounds, cuts, and scratches. It is a powerful skin regenerator, activating the defenses, and in the form of a massage, it activates the circulation, purifies the blood system, relieves menstrual cramps. Its chemical composition is a complex mixture of resin, acid, terpenes, fatty acids, alcohols, and waters, isolating up to 300 secondary metabolites and confirming the broad pharmaceutical effects of myrrh, although it has been shown to be effective in the treatment of inflammation, arthritis, microbial infections, wounds, pain, trauma, tumor. So you see, for everything, almost for everything. Then we are going to have the mint. The mint is, there was Demeter when Persephone was seduced from Hades. There was mint that she was the lover of Hades, and Demeter listened to it, and she said, well, this mint was saying that she was going to be, Minta was going to be again with Hades. So Demeter got very angry, and what she made from her, she transformed her into this plant of mint. And she said, well, the mint, because of the aroma it has a very seductive power, but the erotic magic will never be able to unseat Persephone. Just as aromatic herbs cannot displace cereals in man's life. So it is only like erotic because of the smell, but what it made mint, it made her infertile. So that's part of the story here. Here we have another story that's really beautiful. It's Clytie. Helios was, she had a love affair with Helios, but Helios fell in love with Leukotoe and left her desolated. She was so angry that she went to the Leukotole's father, Oracmus, and told her what Leucotole was doing with Helios. Oracmus got very, very angry, and he killed her and he buried her alive. Clytie, on the other side, intended to win back Helios, and she went here to the shore and was crying every day how Helios every morning was with his chariot with the sun and with the sunflower. So what Helios did at that time, he transformed her into the sunflower. So this sunflower was always going to watch him. So it's a very sad when we see a sunflower. It is always going to be related to this. But the sun's sorrow, Helios married the Nymphode, and they had one son and several daughters. He was unfaithful to his wife. Here too. Here is also this myth. But he later, when he wants to revive Leucote and he can't revive her, he makes that the frankincense tree. He makes that this frankincense tree grows over her grave. So, and these tears and the tree still grows in Arabia. So these are the little trees of the frankincense, this aroma too that we are going to have in church or when we go to special rituals where they are. The Adonias was a ritual that was, it's a festivity that was held 2 times a year, where at the beginning they were like crying about the death of Adonis. And later, the second day was devoted to games and feasts because Adonis was allowed to come back to life and spend life half a year with Aphrodite. So here is these rituals that are related to life and death. So first is when he dies, that they are going to be crying and mourning. And the second one is where they are going to be very happy and very ecstatic and celebrating love and whatever. The lettuce on the other side, from myrrh to lettuce, the lettuce is always going to be more related to calming, to this calming effect. Everything that's green, you are going to see in like hospitals where they have addiction treatments. They are going to give them usually like water made with lettuce or with lemon or everything that's green to lower the temper, to lower the anxiety. So lettuce is more a plant that's going to be more related to marriage. There's this radical opposition between myrrh and lettuce, between the two plants that delimit the career of Adonis, the seducer. One of them may awaken the desires even of an old man, and the other may extinguish the desires of a young lover. The first of these provides a sexual and vital superpotency, while the second brings with it impotence, which is the equivalent of death. So if you want even a child that's crying very much, well, I don't know, but in Mexico, you put in the bathtub, you put like the lettuce, so this child is going to calm himself. Here is also this relation between the union of Myrrha and her father takes place at the time when the mothers or families were celebrating the annual feast of Ceres, where when dressed in snow-white cloth, they offered her garlands of ears, the first fruits of their harvest, and when they abstained until the end of the nine again, from the pleasures of Venus and from contact with their husbands. So these festivals were called the Thesmophoria, with the Ceres. They also were held in two parts, and one of them where they really went with this master and with a little pig, and this little pig, they threw it into a well full of little serpents. So that was the image of this rebirthing again. So with so here we have, according to the Tien, between the Adonias and the Thesmophoria, we can establish a relation of opposition similar to what we find between the Carnival and the Easter festivities. Oh, my dog is crying, screaming, sorry. So what they gave to the women, Apollo, ¿qué pasó? What they give to the women before they went into this Thesmophoria, they had to eat garlic, so their smell was rotten. And here that no man was going to be interested in her. So the smell of fasting thus assumes the role played in the Cirofolias in honor of Athena by the smell of garlic eaten by women in the course of the festival in order to say Philochorus of Athens, not to have perfumed breath and not to turn away from amorous pleasures. The farming versus gardening, Adonis is synonymous with that which is immature, that which has no roots. So Adonis is going to be related also with the eternal pure too. This boy who doesn't want to grow, his boy who doesn't want to mature. That which dies quickly, that which is ephemeral, that which is sensual, and that which is sterile. The gardens of Adonis cannot be compared to crops because they die without bearing fruit. There is a whole difference which separates the 8-day-old shoots from the 8-month-old cereals, as Epictetus said. The difference between that which ripens according to nature and that which is subject to the violence of the heat. So Adonias and Thesmophorias is completed with a sociological difference that both festivals suppose, and where they are clearly contrasted. On the one hand, the world of Aphrodite and Adonis, which is the world of lovers, versus that of the legal wife, Thesmoi, that means laws of social life. That's really the meaning. Here we have the Cupid or Eros with the chip. Here, if you're going to see this, the Medici series, you're going to see the brother of Lorenzo, the one who was killed, is here, depicted here. And here is this woman that's also going to be depicted in this picture, that she was extremely beautiful, and they both had like a love affair. Here we are going to have the Horai too, the Sephiroth, and how they are going to Hermes looks up to the sky and picks up the apple of love, the Hesperides, the three graces, the love between Zephyrus and Chloris. Here is Chloris, and Aeolus, the divine Zephyr, the bluish wind. Chloris is, this myth is incredible, and there's a beautiful song to Chloris too. Beautiful. I send you later the link because it's from Han. You can listen it. I love it. Chloris was the Greek goddess of gardens. Boreas and his Zephyr brother competed for her love. Again, also they are always going to be competing, as Hyacin too. So Chloris was kidnapped by the deity of the wind, Zephyrus, who took her as her wife. Zephyrus gave her the empire of flowers. Together with Zephyrus, she had 2 daughters. She was the mother of spring, and Carpus, the goddess of fruits. Chloris remained eternally young. Parties were held in her honor in the streets, at which young women sang and danced. It was very popular at one time. Chloris helped Hera escape from Olympus and sheltered her in one of her temples. When Chloris asked Hera to pick the most beautiful flower in her garden, and Hera took it in her hands. This is the plants that are going to be like the cactus orchids that are going to be growing in the evening, the agave too. The orchid is a very special flower because usually they are going to be growing on a tree. And it says like the orchids are very much related also to the pure Ellen, to this man that doesn't want to grow because it's feeding itself through the tree. But all the plants that are in the evening, they are related also to the moon, okay? Here we are going to have 2 endiamons. One is from the Turkish part and the other is from the Greek part. So the one from the Turkish part is related to the moon and to the love of Endiamon with the moon. There are beautiful even poems about Yeats, about this Endiamon, where he is going to be relating himself a lot about with Endiamon. But we also have this Endiamon, the Greek one, that is going to be related to the growing even of the wine also, and how the wine is going to be grown. So here's the Selene and the Endiamon. Endiamon is at the same as Adonis. It's going to be related to this pure Ellen, that this eternal adolescent who wants to stay asleep with these dogs always watching over the night. And here's Selene who is asking Chryseus to let her be in love with Endymion. So this myth, I'm not going to go very much into it because this myth is going to be very much related to the soul, what has happened to the soul. And then we have Oeneus, always appears as a kind-hearted and hospitable man. But there is this violent passage where he tells his son not to overgo through a certain part of his land, and he does, and he has to kill his son. So he has to go away. It's like Romulus and Remus. It's like every time when you overstep the limits, there is going to be like this problem. So, but Oeneus was, he had like his wife, and
Ursula, I'm sorry if I interrupt.
Yes.
The screen, your pantalla,
Uh-huh.
is different, and it is so much smaller, and it has all. I don't know if you are interested for. It's hard. I don't know. You have. It's totally different, and then there is the time going on in the left. Ah, here we go.
Okay, right now it's different. Yeah, now it's the
Now
whole.
it's
Now
great.
you are seeing it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, the whole
Perfect.
screen.
Okay, so
Sorry.
I'm going to go back. Since when didn't you see the screen? Okay, since here.
I think. Can I see the one back?
It's
One-
Clarice. Clarice. And then we
There,
have.
yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
here,
That's the
because
best.
I'm going to repeat it for the recording, okay? Only.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have all these cactus, the cactus that are going to be related to the moon, to the different flowers are going to be related to different gods, okay? All the red ones are going to be more related to Mars, and the yellow ones to Helios, and the white ones more to Selene or even to Venus. So the colors of the flowers are always going to be related. Roses also to Venus too. So everything that smells is Venus too. Well, these are flowers that are going to be related to the moon. The orchids are going to also to be related to the moon, because the orchids are always going to feed themselves from the water of the trees. And since they feed from the trees, it's like it's also, they also have a relation to the puerlen, to this boy that doesn't want to grow and doesn't want wants to be always adolescent. So here we have the two diamonds. One is the fridge from Turkey, the Turkey side, and the other one is going to be from the Greek part. We are more related to this diamond, because this diamond is going to be the lover of Selene, of the moon. She falls madly in love with him because he's a beautiful boy, and she's going to ask Zeus, please, to let her love him. So Endymion is this myth of Endymion and Selene is also going to be very much related to the soul. But I'm not going to go very much into this. But the one Endymion we are going to be analyzing is the Endymion that comes from the Greek part. So here we have Oeneo. This is the when we speak about enology, about how to make the wine, it comes from this myth that is going to be important. So he has a son, and this son doesn't listen to what his demands or his commands, and he trespasses the limits of the land. He doesn't want the son to trespass, and he has to kill him. So he has to go to exile. So whenever in mythology you see like Remus also trespassing the limits of Romulus, and Romulus kills Remus. So there's always like this problem. You can't trespass the limits. So the walls of the city were created by Oeneus, kills Tydeus. Once the wall is built, no one can get in there because it is like jumping the limits. So once the wall, so he had to go. But why is Aeneas so important? Aeneas is going to be important because Althea, his wife, was a very, very beautiful wife. And first she had a relation also with Mars, and from there was born Deianira being the second wife of Hercules. But there's another myth where Dionysius comes and sees Althea, he falls in love, and Aeneas says, well, I'm not going to make anything, and I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave and buy, I don't know, vegetables or something for dinner. So they make love, and they are going to have a son. Dionysius and Althea have Deianira. I'm mixing it. Deianira, that is the second wife of Hercules. Sorry, I told you Apollo, but it's Dionysius. And Deianira Dionysius is like feeling really bad about that. And he gives to Aeneas the wisdom of how to build the wine. That's the gift he's going to give Aeneas of how to build the wine. So here there is also the birth of Milagros. So here is the god Ares. I mixed it. Sorry, had this relation also with Althea, and from there was born Milagros. The three Parcas, the three Moiras, come and are going to say, well, one of them. Clotho said that he would be noble, Lachesis that he would be brave, and Atropos, the one who is going to cut this yarn of life and destiny, says that the one who cuts the fragile thread on which our life hangs. So turned to the fireplace and saw a light burning log and said, the child will live until that log is not consumed. But, well, the mother is going to be very afraid, takes the log out of the chimney of the fire, and it's going to wrap it into a cloth and put it into a chest. But later what happens is that that the wine growth is going to be so big, and everybody is like having this wine, that Artemisa gets really angry and says, do you know, you have to go and hunt a boar, and you have to bring me that boar, and you have to sacrifice it and whatever. So they go out to hunt, but there is Atalanta that in a way is going to be also Artemisa. So Atalanta, we're going to have two Atalantas. One Atalanta, I already spoke about her, the one who is running very fast and who was transformed from Cybele into this lion with her lover, the two lions that guide their courage. And there's this Atalanta who is the huntress, the one who is very good in hunting. Nobody can hunt the Milagro and his uncles. They go for the hunting, and they can't hunt this boar because this boar is really Artemisa. And Atalanta says, I'm going to hunt her. Well, She is the one who can hunt the boar. And at the end, there is always this ritual between men, where the one who hunts the boar can stay with the fur and can eat the first. So what Milagro does is he gives this fur to Atalanta, and all the other men get very angry, and the uncles get very, very angry. So there is a fight, and Milagro kills their uncles. And when he goes back to Altea says, "Where are my brothers? What happened to them?" And he explains and says, "Well, we had this fight because of Atalanta, and I gave Atalanta the fur, and they got very angry, and I had to kill them." Altea, this is this honor of blood honor, and she puts the lock into the fire, and Milagro dies, and she commits suicide because she is so sad about it. So enology and winemaking is a discipline related to wine. Enos etymologically comes from oinos and means wine, and that not confuse a sommelier with a winemaker. He studies the techniques of scientific production, and the sommelier, the gastronomic part, and Eneo is very important for his relationship with wine. There are a crater with volutas. Here's a crater with the volutas where they had this wine. So winemaking was also related. So we have two very important painters who are always going to be relating to wine. One was Caravaggio. Caravaggio was a painter, incredible painter that was always like drinking and having festivities, but there was this black, la peste, ¿cómo se llama? The black, well, peste en inglés, ¿cómo se dice? Peste, black, this where they got black, the infectious virus that came from the black plague. Sorry. So he got very sick, and he almost died. So he related to this part of Dionysius too, with this part of the instinctive part. So, and on the other side, we have Rubens that was, he related more to this, Selenio. Sorry. He related to Selenio because Selenio was the master, or the one who took care of Dionysius and showed him everything about the winemaking. But Rubens was such a good painter that they always invited him to parties and gave him a lot of food and a lot of drink. And this way he could foresee the future the same as Selenio. So, so we have these two painters that are going to be relating to the wine and how Dionysius, so Caravaggio relating to this part of life and death and being reborn again, the same as Dionysius. And on the other side, Rubens relating to Selenio, the teacher of Dionysius, who always, when he got drunk, were the one who could foresee. So in the mythology, in the Greek mythology, they always got Selenio drunk so he can say and speak about this part of what was going to happen. So Dionysius and Silenus, they had this relationship that were very, very instinctual, very much into this part of life and to life and death, and we also related to wine, what happened to wine. So Semele is a variant of Selene, which means moon, and they were the traditional priestess of the moon who participated in certain orgiastic festivities where one bull was sacrificed a year in honor of Dionysius, an animal that, according to Pythagoras, should never be sacrificed since it represents the co-worker of the human being. Other historians say that Dionysius is a Minoan origin and see in the figure of the bull his immediate ancestor. As with the birth of Dionysius, Silenus also has several versions in his birth. One that he is the son of Hermes, and the other, the most common, that he is the son of Pan, with a nymph or with Gaia. The satyr Silenus was known for his excesses with alcohol, and that when drunk he possessed a special wisdom and the gift of prophecy. Dionysius represents the inversion, the change of time, and is the one who alters and removes man from his place. It turns it upside down, unhangs it, nullifies it, and tears it to pieces. So that was what Caravaggio, he also related very much to this. The more time-bound life is, the more questionable it becomes, and its feast frees it from time. The Dionysian represented by the irrational mind, by the intuitive and the limitless, the timeless of existence. So these two painters, Rubens Bacchus here, here's the Rubens Bacchus, and he related himself to Silenio. So the love to the wine, Silenio is going to be painted many times with Dionysius in his arms, and it is related to wisdom, and this drunkard said to himself that the best thing would have been if he had not been born, and that it is better to die soon. Another story between Rubens and Dionysius, why they both were very, very close. Paintings of Caravaggio, he couldn't use his name because he always had trouble with law. And many times Rubens bought his paintings to help him out. He already knew what that Caravaggio was the one who painted them, and he really acknowledged and was very surprised about his painting. Then we have Noah too. Noah also had this wine making, and he got very drunk, and his sons saw him. One of them saw him, and he had Shem and Japhet saw him in this deplorable state, but only Ham saw him naked. He got so angry that his son he saw him how he looked like naked and with the effects of the wine, that he was the one who made the different ethnic groups, Shem, Ham, and Japhet, from which Semites, Hamitites, and Japhethites are derived. Some of Noah's grandsons, including Elam, Assyria, Aram, Cush, and Canaan. This is the justification given for slavery. So Canaan, he was the one son here. He is drunk, and this is the son that saw him naked. And here were the three different races born, and he was given the color of black. So the Egyptians and the wine, they are like graves where we can see that the Egyptians had a very close story to wine. Even in these graves, and they even had classified the wine. So it was like something very precious for them too. So wine is a wonderfully appropriate thing for man if in sickness as well as in health it is administered wisely and justified. In medicine, they gave one to see which was the temper of the people, like it was like phlegmatic or whatever, or related to the water signs, to the fire signs, to melancholy, so yeah, or choleric. So it was they gave them this wine to see how it was. So in Pompeii, there were also these wine places where they stored the wine. And well, with this sonnet to the wine from Jorge Luis Borges, I finished Sonnet to the Wine. In what kingdom, in what century, under what silent conjunctions of the stars, on what secret day that stone has not preserved, emerged, the valiant and singular idea of inventing mirth and play. With atoms of gold, it was created. Wine flows red along with the generation, and on the arduous road, like the river of time, pours on us its music, its fire, and its lion. On the night of joy, or on the hostile day, it exalts the glee or soothes the honor. And this new, the Bryant that I sing today, was sung by the Arab and Persian before. Wine, show me the art of seeing my own story as if it were already a handful of ashes in memory. And well, thank you very, very much for listening. I'm going to stop the recording and let me know if you have a question.